Hi, I'm Ryan McDonald. Joining me today is Lewis Castle, co-founder and general manager of Westwood Studios. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And you brought some goodies to show off, right?
Yeah, we brought you an update. We've talked to you guys a couple of times now about Earth and Beyond as we've been going through our beta program. And I'm here to talk a little bit more about what happens later in the game, what you can do with bigger characters. Characters have been around a while.
How many hours into the game would this point be?
Well, we're going to show you a character that's pretty close to maxed out, and that's hundreds of hours, a lot of time. But mostly just to show you the types of things that change in the game as you go. And I was going to recap a little bit about what Earth and Beyond is and kind of walk you through some of these more exciting and later areas in the product.
So for those people at home that don't know what Earth and Beyond is all about, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Earth and Beyond is an online role-playing galaxy. And what that means is you get to jump into our galaxy about 300 years from now and assume the role of a captain and have your own starship. You get to cruise around different star systems and different planets, go down into the planet surfaces, and do all kinds of different things to advance your notoriety and your power within the galaxy. And Earth and Beyond is different from a lot of other online role-playing games in that there are 3 different ways to become famous and be well accepted. You can either be a fighter, which is kind of typical, but you can also explore and be a tradesman. It's more of a craftsman. So what I have on the screen here is actually where you select your character. The Enforcer is a kind of split class, but we have basically a warrior, which is focused really on fighting. He has some key skills to the side here and sort of balance of what kinds of abilities your starship will have. We have a tradesman, who is our craftsman of the universe, and we have the Explorer, who is the one who travels all over the place looking for new anomalies, and they can actually be pretty good in a scrap too, especially as in the later play. In fact, that's the character we'll be showing today. One of the first things I'll do is I'll just go into the character creation selection and just remind, we've actually changed some new things, added some more stuff here, and remind you, you can pick your male or female. And we've added some new things like different shirt styles, there we go, and different colors you can pick, all sorts of different colors. You can change the height and weight of your character, so you can make a tall, skinny guy if you'd like, or kind of short and dumpy, whichever you prefer. And I can move the character around and zoom in pretty close here, take a look at the details. Once you're pretty close or pretty settled with what the body's going to be, you can go to the face and you can change things like your skin color, lots of different range of colors there, and eye color. The face, the actual head type itself, different things like beards. We've added a bunch of new beards and hairstyles, so people can really choose something unusual for themselves and really get something fun. Even eyepieces, earpieces, even some details like tattoos and stuff like that. So you can actually go in and move a tattoo around, scale it down. You can put wrinkles on your face. I mean, you can really customize your avatar. So lots of new things we continue to add to the character creation stuff so that people can make sure their character is really a good representation of what they want it to be. And of course, it wouldn't be, character wouldn't be anything, or captain wouldn't be anything without a starship. So we have lots of different ways you can customize your starship. You can actually change the different hull styles and wing styles. And we hired a designer, Doug Chang, who did the Star Wars films and the Matrix films, the newer Matrix films, as a visual designer. And he set the parameters, so no matter how particularly color challenged you might be, artistically challenged you might be, you're still going to end up with a pretty cool looking spaceship. You can customize the colors, put logos on, do all kinds of decals, just lots and lots of different things you can do. In fact, here's some decals here. And if you join the game before the beta is over, you actually get to be part of the Founders Federation, and you can have a special decal just to show off the fact that you've been around since before.
And you guys are still running the beta program right now, right?
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, the beta program will be running until September 24th. It'll go live at September 23rd midnight will be when the beta gets turned off, and at that point, if you haven't jumped into the game, you missed out on that Founders Federation, but you still play and have a great experience. So I'm going to hop into this particular character. He's an explorer, the character class that you were playing, and I'm going to get into the game and show you some of the sectors and walk you through it. So we start the game off here. I've decided to start by Earth, and you can see Earth in the distance there. It's about 300 years. It looks pretty much the same as it does now, maybe a little bit more population with all the lights. You can see all the cities, and you can see a big battle cruiser floating around out here in space. You can cruise by that. You can actually see that character that I created. He's inside the cockpit. I can fly in a cockpit view like this. A lot of people don't play with their cameras, but there's lots of fun things you can do with the cameras. And first thing I'm going to do is after looking around at Earth here, well, I guess you should point out, it's really easy to play. So it's, people who haven't heard of Earth Beyond before, you just point with the right mouse button, you move around, and you can steer your ship around. It's really, really easy. You can actually move the camera around to take a look at your ship, so you can kind of
see what's going on.
Marvel at what a wonderful job you've done designing your craft. I'm going to move over to one of the later sectors in the game. Okay. This one is called I'm not sure I can pronounce it correctly, but it's Zype Totek. And this is, I think I just gated. We'll see in a second here.
Now, are you online right now? Or?
Yes, I am. In fact, actually, I'm playing in a live environment. There's a bunch of live people out there playing as well. And that was one of the things we wanted to do at this particular juncture, was not do some sort of dog and pony show, but actually go into the live game and show you some live sectors and maybe even run into some people. There might be some predictability problems, but I'm willing to gamble that it's going to be just fine. The first thing I'm going to do is gate over to, or not gate, but go over to the other side of this this wall. Now, this particular sector is something that when the earlier players start the game, they're on the other side of that big field, and it's been sealed off. Now, you can fly through it if you want, but it's very dangerous on this side of the field. In fact, my ship is going to go through all kinds of strange anomaly here. And the cause of all of this is that strange glowing mass in the center. It looks a little bit like a sun. The storyline for this particular sector is that something odd is happening, and they've sealed off the sector from travel because there's some anomaly that causes people to go just a little crazy. And in fact, when you fly on this side, there's all sorts of goodies to get, but it's also really, really dangerous. In Earth Beyond, you can do a lot of different activities. In fact, one of them is mining. So if I go over there and look at the asteroids, I can find that there's some pretty good stuff. Raw rubies and some skystone. I could actually refine those down and make them very, very valuable. So this is a great place to go when you're a higher level character, but it's also very dangerous. And I'm actually looking for one of the more dangerous characters, but they're pretty rare for good reason. They're called Oni, and the Oni are suspected to be the spirits of this particular character class, Genquai explorers, that have somehow been transformed into a being of energy by the Zype Totek anomaly. So the whole storyline of this is written up inside of various adventures that you take, and people kind of allude to it. And it's one of the reasons this particular sector is really exciting to higher level characters. And I can't, one of the problems with a live game is I can't always guarantee that I'm going to get the person I want. So I don't see him around, I just see the Gomi kimonos. Those are pretty rough, but not as fun as the Oni. So I'm actually going to move to another place. One of the things about Earth Beyond is all of your skills and all of your abilities are shown graphically. So there's wonderful, spectacular visuals every time something's being used. And as I can actually show it a little bit more predictably in the next sector here. So the next place we're going is Alduin, which is a planet that has some great mining opportunities, and business has been a little slow lately. So Earth Core and the Infinity Core have sealed off this sector for the reason it's just a very dangerous place to be. And if I fly over by the gate here, I'll probably get a feeling. Actually, I need to. I have a. Before I get killed here, I've got a couple cheats I can put in that aren't in the real games. People are trying to watch very closely what I'm doing. It's not going to work for you. Okay, there we go. So I'm actually going to pick a fight with these turrets here, and once I do that, it's a little hard without the audio, but they'll start fighting back, and they're going to start pounding away on my shield and stuff. And you can see what I was talking about earlier, the effects, those strange kind of graphics over the top. You can see all the numbers flying off my ship. That means I'm getting hacked. So these guys are busy taking my systems offline, hacking through my shields, firing their beam weapons, throwing missiles at me, basically making my life a little rough all the way around. Anyways, you can see just from the effects that the skills that people use and the abilities, the combat in Earth and Beyond is really meant to be a combination of action-oriented but also very strategic and very tactical. So as you go through, you're picking your various skills like cloaking. I might cloak my ship right now. I get all sorts of different advantages. And what I was saying earlier is really true, especially in sectors like this. You really need to learn to change your strategies as your character gets more and more evolved, as your avatar spends more time. So it's not just that you're doing the same types of activities, you're doing them in very different ways. And the later gameplay especially, you find ways to work as a team. And here's the Earth Core military police is basically telling me I don't have the right security clearance and I better get out of here. or they're going to blow me out of the sky. So I'm trying to hide with my cloak. Maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. That's really the fun of the game, is that all of your skills and all your abilities they're not always certain. So sometimes a strategy will work for a couple of levels, and then you'll find out as you get higher, oh, those mobs, they can see right through that cloak, and so you better change your strategy. And the different levels of these abilities, in fact, if I click over here, you can see that I actually have lots of different types of cloaking. I can cloak entire groups, I can have a cloak during combat, and I can use them at any time. So there's many, many different abilities. All of the skills of your characters are listed off to the side. You can actually go through and see all the different skills that are supplied for this particular character class. And we can get into that later. You can ask me some questions about it. I'm going to go ahead and gate to another place. Okay. This one is called Grissom. And this is a great planet. This is this particular planet is like an African safari. It's got some of the harder objects in the game, or characters or monsters, really, bad guys to kill. And you can actually go and take them like trophies. So let me see. I better put that super client on again.
What is this?
I missed it again.
What is this big hole?
Well, this is actually on the planet's surface. This is a gas giant, and let me do, what was the other one? Faction? That's all one word. Okay, so this is actually a gas giant. So one of the things you can do in Earth and Beyond is actually go down to many of the different planets and explore them. And this one is, like I said, like an African safari. There's these Dactorals that I can actually go and hunt down. And many times when you kill a monster or take out a big game trophy like this, you'll actually get a trophy of some sort, like a tail or a head or a beak. And you can take those in and give them to other people. So I'm going to go ahead and fire away here and have some combat. You can see the extent of the kind of globules, and now I can actually go and loot his corpse. And I get some wings. Maybe some people are interested in that, and some other items that I can pull off the corpse. And that's actually the nature of combat earlier in the game. But again, it is a demo, so I don't have a bunch of teammates with me, but the value of the elder gameplay and the longer gameplay is working as a team to achieve goals. And many of the bigger combat situations you have, or bigger quests, can take more than just the 6 people you can get into a small group. So you end up having guilds. And that's a whole other section of the game that is a little difficult to explain in a quick demo, but the guild stuff, the guild RPG system, is really advanced in Earth and Beyond. And that means that we actually track all the people in your guild and what they're doing and what they're accomplishing, so that the guild itself is like a big meta character that we can give awards to or give goals to. So that's another way to really expand the gameplay. So right now we're focused on the launch date, September 24th. We want to make sure everybody gets in there and gets to enjoy the game and gets their characters up there, but we have tons of plans for those people that are going to spend the time and get invested in the game. We do have plans to address the PvP concerns or desires for our players, but we really want to emphasize that we wanted to make a game, so many of us at Westward are hooked on these games, these types of games, and we wanted to make one that we could give to a friend and say, here, go play this. And they would be able to play it. There's an on-screen avatar that walks them through, tells them how to do it. And once you get hooked on the leveling up and getting your character and developing your character and the different quests, you really understand what the fun is. So in order to make that a really great experience, we really do limit the ability for players to prey on new players into the game. We don't really want that to happen. In fact, the game and the environment and our culture really enforces and encourages people to help each other out. So you're more likely to find a guy that'll come around, a big high-level explorer, and he says, hey, Mr. Tradesman, want me to teleport you halfway across the galaxy so you can get some good trades goods? And they'll go, sure. I mean, that's actually happening more than anything else. I'm really proud of the community. They're being very, very helpful and getting people into the game. So the game is finished. At least the first 6 professions are in a state that we're really happy with. Now, a game of this kind never really finishes, right? So people are constantly going to be giving us suggestions on ways we can improve it, things we can add to it, and we'll even be adding new things like, potentially new professions in the near future, changing the way trade systems work, adding all sorts of elder gameplay for star bases and all sorts of fun stuff. So Yes, it's finished. It's a complete experience. It's hundreds of hours of entertainment. It's great fun, but the greatest thing about this is, and it keeps going. Earth and Beyond focuses on 6 unique experiences. So each of the 6 professions has a unique sector in space, a planetoid or an interesting point, and lots of adventures around that point that they get to explore, and nobody else can go into that sector. The gates don't let other people go in.
Gotcha.
Then the minute you leave that sector, you start to expose yourself to people that are of your same race, and as you stretch out even further, you'll find people from other races. Usually you see explorers a lot because they're flying all over the galaxy. But to give you an idea, I've played hundreds and hundreds of hours. There are planets like Alduin that I've never actually been to. So it's quite possible to play the game for hundreds of hours and talk to somebody who's also playing the game and talk about it and go, you're doing totally different things. You're prospecting and exploring, and I'm fighting and I'm trading and I build weapons and you don't build anything. And my God, it's a complete different experience. And that's the point. This is a game that that has a different kind of experience depending on your focus, and so hopefully it appeals to a very wide group of people. Maybe not everybody, but as many as we possibly can.
One question I have is the game looks obviously beautiful.
It is. It's a gorgeous game.
What about system requirements?
Yeah, another really good story there. One of the things that was really important to us on Earth and Beyond was that the systems that are available today, plus the ones you've had for a couple of years, be able to play the game, broadband or narrowband. So let me start with that one, the one system requirement. If you're playing on narrowband, no problem. You have to download patches occasionally on a regular basis as we add content, but we'll try to keep those down to a few megabytes at most, so you're not waiting all day for the game to patch. And playing the actual game, we're playing over broadband right now, but I've played over narrowband on the road, even in Europe, playing against American servers, and I couldn't tell the difference.
Okay.
And that's really, yeah, the engineers have worked really, really hard to make the game work that way. The game specifications, which is more to the graphics, are scalable. So if you're playing on my older laptop, this one's actually a really nice laptop, so I can't complain. But my older laptop had an old ATI card in it and everything else, and it worked just great. So 500 megahertz, P3, 128 megs of RAM, you're good to go.
Fantastic.
Whatever kind of connection you have. So really different from what a lot of other people are doing. Now, you will get a much better experience if you have a better machine. So there's things like an explosion may go off. On a really good machine, you'll see little bits and pieces flying at you, and they'll be fizzling, and they'll have bump mapping on them, and all sorts of great lighting models, and you go, wow, this is beautiful. On the other scene, you might see a big boom and a couple of chunks going out, and you go, okay, well, that's because you have a machine that's like 3 years old. But this thing is, the important part is you still got the explosion, you still got the pertinent information. So you can be rest assured, no matter what kind of system you have, it's going to look really good for your machine, and you're going to have a wonderful time.
Right on. September 24th, correct?
Yep, September 24th.
Well, thank you so much for coming by.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us.
Thank you.